Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
He is going to be the host of USA Network's hit reality show Temptation Island Season 5. John Cena Sr., I'm Dan Marty. Wrestling Insiders is now. The month of May explodes in Boston Wrestling MWF. Joining us for the first time in studio will be ECW icon New Jack, Saturday, May the 8th. Taping episodes of Wrestling Insiders in a special live episode with a Cyber autograph signing. Then Saturday, May the 22nd, Sunday, May the 23rd, the legendary Demolition Axe, the Masked Superstar, one half of the greatest tag team in WWE history, joins us for 2 days of Wrestling Insider tapings in a live Cyber autograph signing with photos already signed by Demolition Smash. It's going to be a month to remember. Head on over to BostonWrestling.com. Pre-order your 8x10 photos now and help keep wrestling legends working. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
At Night of Champions 2020, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns successfully defended the WWE Universal Championship against his cousin, Jey Uso, in a must-see battle. Here is your chance to own a piece of Roman Reigns moments before battle on this beautiful limited edition autographed 11x14 poster, direct from friends at WWE. It's number 19 of only 50 made, includes WWE authentication hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing and matting. You'll also receive a bonus Legends autographed 8x10 photo in an on-air shout-out on Wrestling Insiders as our thanks for helping keep wrestling legends working. Get this ultra-rare Roman Reigns autograph poster now. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE NXT and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to another fabulous Friday night. SmackDown out of control as usual as the road to WrestleMania Backlash continues. They're really trying to get as much value out of the WrestleMania name this year. They're just kind of tossing it on the pay-per-view to get a little mileage out of it, to make Peacock happy. Instead of just Backlash, you have WrestleMania Backlash. That was the home of what I thought was one of the better angles done that year during the Edge John Cena Last Man Standing match when the Big Show ran out and literally threw your son through a spotlight. That was one of the great spots I can recall for quite a while.
I was there. I'm
sure you were a little uncomfortable for a minute.
When I saw Show pick him up, and then he just kind of, Big Show. And bang! I got to tell you something. The people beside me said, "Are you all right?" I said, "I got to find out if he's all right. I've got to get out there and find out if he's all right." And I did get backstage, and Christian was there, and he explained the process and what went on, and He said, "No, it's cool. He's all right. He's fine." And I was asked to leave. So
That was unique, though. I mean, he hoisted him up, ready to give him that big choke slam.
Bang.
And I said, what is he going to do, throw him off the stage? And then he turned to that big spotlight. And I thought it made for a memorable visual that we probably won't see much of in the future, at least until Big Show returns to WWE.
might see it on AEW.
What's that?
You might see it on AEW.
I don't think Vince will be licensing his footage to...
You don't need his footage. We'll just recreate it.
he's going to recreate it, you
Yeah,
mean? He's
why
gonna-
not? We got plenty of people to recreate
All right,
with.
well, you know what?
Can't you see Kenny Omega going right through that thing? Boom!
You never know. But that was certainly a memorable night in Providence. I
It was
happened to be
great.
with the Mermaid Girl and her family that night. at
I
that
was there. We
pay-per-view,
had
yeah.
her. God rest her soul.
WWE was kind enough to give her the Divas Championship belt, signed by your son, which I thought was a little odd to have a man sign a women's championship belt.
Well, she didn't want the regular championship belt, I guess. Or
Oh, well.
But she had the Divas, and I guess she had her favorite wrestlers sign that. It was an honor and a privilege to be associated with that young lady. There's another young lady that truly exemplified that no matter what difficulties are presented to us in life, there's always a way to present it with a smile. You'd never even know. A smile, happy, joy, and then the good Lord said, the trip's over, come on back home. You know, so
Heaven needed another angel.
amen, brother, amen.
Well, you know, that was a very sad, but I think one of the great things we've done in our near 20-year history, and I think you and I will probably talk more and more about our history as we get closer to the anniversary, but that summer to be able to run that live event, despite the Billy Graham shenanigans, was to be able to raise the money to send her to a summer camp for disabled kids. Her last summer here on Earth, she was able to go out and enjoy being a kid for, I don't know if the camp was a week, 2 weeks, or however long it might have been, but her first time away from home, and to be with peers her own age, with different, you know, issues that had gone along with their life. That makes me very happy that we were able
And
to
it
do
should.
that.
You should think of that. And when you begin to think about that stuff, your own troubles aren't as big as you think they are. It was a rainstorm, but as you look at her and think of what's going on with yourself, it's just a drop. It's a little droplet of rain. So you know what? That was a great time. The spotlight spot, as you put it, double negative there, that was just blew me away. I didn't know what to say. And Big Show was very nice backstage.
You love your buddy.
He's a good...
Your
you know
big
what?
buddy.
Paul Wright's a great human being. You know, I don't say too many derogatory things about anybody. I love everybody, and I try to do that. You know what? It's just nice that I was allowed to be part of that family and was received the way I was by Vince, by Shane, Stephanie, Paul, Lebec. It's just an honor and a privilege. And when I saw that, I have to tell you, as a parent, that's the first time I ever really, knowing that it's entertainment, I really lost it. I really did. I thought my son
You were
was...
that nervous.
I saw the thing blow up, the electricity. I saw the glass smash, sugar glass. And, you know, then Christian was great. You know, he said, I understand what's on. I know the problem, but let me just tell you how it is and how it works. Might be a little itchy for a while, but outside of that, it'll be good. And you know what? Wow.
How long was it before you spoke to him?
John?
Yeah.
I
Later
think
that night?
I texted
or-
him. I
Oh,
texted
okay.
him.
So you knew
Yeah.
he was okay.
Yeah,
then.
then he told me, Dad, I'm okay, don't worry about it, things are fine. And everybody assured me, don't worry about it, things are fine. We know what we're doing. And you know what? After
Well, it's
that,
first-class production.
Yep.
It's a
Oh,
first-class
really? They know what they
production.
were doing. Really? Okay, I'll buy that. Yep. Okay, let's move on.
Oh, all right. Well, ooh, I almost hit a sore spot right there.
You did.
Really? All right. Well,
I wasn't a Patriots football.
well, I'm talking about that. Really wasn't a production value. What happened to you? That was mano a mano. Mano a mano. When Randy Orton found his inner Adam Vinatieri of the Patriots and was looking for the field goal.
Guess I didn't tuck enough, I guess.
You didn't tuck enough. What, Tucker? But anyway. We talk interesting enough funny. We made a little joke. Oh, haha, we'll never see WWE footage on AEW. But Johnny, what about what had the wrestling world buzzing following WrestleMania Night 2 a couple of weeks back was a Stone Cold Steve Austin's interview program on WWE Network, now on Peacock, where his guest, AEW superstar Chris Jericho.
Whoa.
Talk about a big surprise.
I bet you Vince was switching on that one, unless he got permission.
Well, no, Vince okayed it.
I'm sure he did.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no animosity there. You know, Vince is a big man. And people they really do have the wrong idea about this individual. They really, really do. And I thought that was cool. I thought it was great that we had somebody do what they did when they did it. I thought that was a step in the right direction.
Well, do you think it will open the door for any WWE talent to appear on AEW?
All I'm going to say is never say never.
Really? Now, see, that's one I would say never do, but I wouldn't expect that to happen. I think it was a win-win for everybody. I think Peacock got a lot of eyeballs on their new ownership, or I shouldn't say ownership, but, you know, they own the rights to WWE Network in the United States for the next 5 years. Other than pay-per-views, Steve Austin's show does the biggest ratings of anything on that network.
He's good.
You get a guy that you talk about creating a buzz, not a WWE legend, not a WWE talent, but someone from outside the company. Probably the biggest threat that WWE has faced is from a competition level, from a someone competing with them for talent since WCW. I was very surprised, and I thought maybe, okay, they'll go the route of just breaking down Jericho's WWE tenure and things he did before that, but no, they went balls to the wall in that conversation. I was really surprised.
I was very impressed by that. I really was. Kudos to Austin, Jericho, and as always, Vince McMahon. I'm telling you. You know what? He's a good businessman. He's a smart man. And who knows what will happen down the road? Who really knows?
Would you do Steve Austin's podcast?
I'd be honored to do Steve Austin's broadcast, but he's never going to ask me, so.
Well, you never know. You never know.
No.
You never know.
No. He's a great guy.
Jericho carried himself well. I think Jericho was very smart to know what subjects, even under the circumstances, maybe what to avoid.
Oh, I told him like it was. You know, he told why he left WWE. I don't think that it was a no holds barred, which is the way Austin likes to do his podcasts. When you do anything with Austin, you know, people, it's the real deal. There's no flies on that man. And Jericho was the same way. Here's the question. What's the answer? And Jericho came right out with it. So I was impressed. I thought it was good. I listened to it. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see what other avenues that may open up for guests. I mean, imagine what the internet would do if Austin announced that, say, CM Punk was going to be on his Broken Skull program on WWE Network. I think people would go wild for that.
You know what? Never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Well, it appears, Johnny, what set the wrestling world ablaze, and it kind of just turned into maybe a small match lit back in October of 2019. The Wednesday night wars apparently have come to an end, where now NBC Sports Network is going to go into oblivion, much like Tucker and some of the other releases from WWE. A lot of sports that NBC has the rights to, including the NHL, is going to move to other properties, and where USA, they want to prop that as the #1 cable network on television. They're going to be getting a lot of hockey on Wednesday night. So, unfortunately, NXT took the bullet for the team, which led to AEW declaring victory in this war when I think you can count on one hand with many fingers left over how many times either show ever hit 1 million fans when they were competing head-to-head. I want to read you this quote, Johnny. I thought it was a little much. You know me. I try to be fair, but Jericho did an interview after maybe it was in building the Austin podcast, but he said, I know WWE NXT was watching our stuff during their show, but this was not a war that we ever asked for. We were kind of thrust into it by proxy. The reason why we won it, and won it so handedly, is we never worried about what anyone else was doing. We just worried about our own show. I think the best thing about being unopposed is now people don't have to decide. There's been a lot of shows that we've done with some great segments and some great moments that might have been missed because people were switching back and forth. He later added, of course we're competitive. Yes, we wanted to beat NXT. Yes, we wanted to drive them screaming and yelling away from Wednesdays, and that's what we did. Now, Johnny, this is not Raw and Nitro we're talking about from the mid-'90s when you had millions upon millions of viewers each week. This was, shows that were drawing between maybe 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 people each. I think Jericho went a little overboard with those statements. I don't think AEW is even at a level where TNA was at its peak. TNA, you have to remember, at one point, for better or worse, no matter what they were doing at the box office or on pay-per-view, they were doing 1.5 million people a week. AEW, I think maybe their first week may have approached that when they went head-to-head with NXT back in October of 2019, and they've only net them over 1 million a couple of times. TNA was doing it weekly for quite a while, and a lot of good can be said about Vince Russo. A lot of negative has been said about Vince Russo, but for whatever he may not have been able to do to get people to actually spend money on the product, he was able to get them to watch the show. And for Jericho to talk about winning this major war as if he's sticking the flag in the sand, so to speak, for a show that was averaging maybe 800,000 people a week, I don't know how much of a war it was they won.
The fact of the matter is, they beat out a WWE product. NXT is part of the WWE family. It's a Paul Levesque idea. It's a Triple H idea. They won. They beat it. The NXT did take the bullet. They took one for the team. So I think, did he go overboard in his comment? Yes. Should have been toned down a little bit and phrased in a different way? Absolutely. But once again, you got to know Jericho.
If it wasn't for NBC Sports, the television network, dissolving, I don't think NXT would have even moved.
No, they'd have stayed right where they were.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting. But at the same time, it is what it is. And once again, you need to know Jericho.
And I'll also throw this out there, and I like Jericho an awful lot. We help promote his books.
He loves Fabo Pop.
Oh, does he really?
He loves
Well,
Fabo
I'm still
Pop.
waiting to see the green variety.
I was going to bring that today.
Well, the next time you're here in studio,
next Wednesday, whenever we do it again.
Whenever we do, we're going to have Fabo Pop galore. I know people wanted for the next pay-per-view. We got to put together a little ad so people can get it over on BostonWrestling.com and maybe involve Make-A-Wish, as you had mentioned.
I should send some down to AEW.
But wouldn't that be fun?
You get an address?
Yes. Imagine JR and Tony Schiavone out at the commentators table with the
Let's do it. How
with
much
a little Fabo Pop.
Why don't you send it down?
Compliments of
a
couple of
Boston
six packs, yeah. I lost my train of thought there for a second. But also, you talk about this war.
Yep.
AEW Dynamite is AEW's core show.
Yes.
NXT is at best the C brand for WWE.
Yeah, it was a glorified indie show.
I mean, okay, how would AEW have fared against SmackDown? How would AEW have fared against Raw?
You'll never know till you stack it. So unfortunately, we can't make a decision on that because what they were put up against is what they won against. Easy enough to say. And if you remember, you were very high on NXT, and I kept saying it's a glorified indie show. Let's see how they fare. Guess what? They didn't fare very well. And it's nothing to do with the talent or the product. It's just they were beat out by somebody who had a different product that happened to be just a little bit better.
Different product, different feel,
Right.
bigger production values. And I'm not trying to knock AEW. I just think for them to proclaim they won a war because they would draw a couple 100,000 extra people each week.
But you know what? Gives you bragging rights. It gives you bragging rights.
You know what? And yeah, they have it. I mean,
Don't you think?
To the naked eye, to those that don't follow the cable industry, yeah, it does look like NXT.
But don't you think WWE would have done the same thing? We beat out, when they won the Monday Night Wars.
I don't think WWE. Well, all right, that's a horse of a different story.
Yeah.
That was the real deal.
Oh,
that was
a
a
real
war.
deal.
That was a war. WCW wanted to put them out of business.
There was no war between NXT and AEW. I don't know who fabricated this, but
I think the fans wanted a war.
But you know why AEW came out ahead on this? And
it was their A show. They had legitimate star power. They had the one thing that WWE lacks is they had a unique, different look. It had a unique, different feel. It had unique, different productions. Now, is AEW's production values anywhere near the quality of WWE's? No. But at the same time, it was different. In so much of WWE, no matter what show you watch across any of their brands, it feels identical.
There you go. They wanted another product. They wanted another furniture store on the street that wasn't the same. NXT, SmackDown, Raw. It's all WWE. Give us a choice. They had a choice. The fans spoke. If WWE doesn't begin to change the way they do business, storylines, product line, it could find itself losing more ground. It's possible.
It's scary, but it is
possible.
true. I ask you this, though, Johnny. Let's take a look at modern wrestling history, the past couple decades. WCW was on top of the world. The 83 weeks that WCW won the ratings war head-to-head has been well spoken of. It's the name of Eric Bischoff's podcast. For the first time since WWF went global, they were, they had their ass handed to them. Then, because television networks cannot resist ratings glory, they added WCW Thunder in January of 1998, which turned into too much WCW product, which was, I think, a very underlooked reason why the ratings started to go down on Monday night, because there was just a lot of WCW product. You could get your WWF fix on Raw on Monday. You could get, if you wanted, WCW on Monday. You could get WCW on Thursday. Saturday night was still a 2-hour show on TBS at 6:05 on the Superstation. There were a lot of ways to get that mainstream WCW fix.
I agree. Yep.
I will say this may go against the grain of what a lot of people, friends of ours may think, mutual friends of ours may think, but I think WWE, while financially a very sound move, as far as the quality of the overall product went, made a mistake adding SmackDown, a second 2-hour first-run show each week back in the summer of 1999. So you had Raw on Monday and SmackDown on Thursday. So instead of 2 hours of A-list first-run material, they were trying to come up with 4 hours of that material. Now, if WWE went the route in 1999 of trying to develop two quote-unquote different brands, I think that's great. Because to me, that's almost like two different wrestling promotions. I like it when the rosters are separate. But from 1999 through 2002, they used the same talent on both shows. So it made it much easier to see Steve Austin. It made it much easier to see The Rock, Mick Foley, Triple H, or whoever the core stars may have been at that point. Now, later in 2021, AEW, beyond their 2-hour AEW Dynamite show, their marquee on TNT, beyond the 2 first-run YouTube shows they have now that sometimes feature over a dozen matches each, which I couldn't imagine sitting through, I never have, but they're going to be adding a second primetime television show on TNT. Do you think AEW should be proactive and try and look at a way to develop 2 different brands of AEW? Or do you think there's enough appetite for wrestling fans right now to have perhaps 2-hour AEW shows every week across Turner Television, whether it be TNT, TBS, or one of those channels?
Ultimately, that may happen. All I know is this. I don't know if you watch the TNA product or not. I'm not impressed.
No, you're talking about TNA?
Yeah, that's what
I don't even get that channel.
ODB is on that show. And
You're talking about Impact?
Yeah.
I don't get that, so I haven't seen it in years.
Let me tell you something. You know what? I'm a fan of professional wrestling. I love the business. But you know what? It might be because there's no audience there or very few people there. But when you can, it just doesn't have it. It lacks that luster. And maybe that's why their ratings are where they are.
Well, I'm talking about AEW, not Impact.
No, I understand.
Okay.
And I'm just giving you an example. AEW could reach that point where it's boring and doesn't make sense anymore. I think, you need to reinvent the wheel. And it may become necessary to create that second venture of AEW Raw, AEW SmackDown. It's not a bad idea. AEW certainly has amassed enough talent, good talent, to be able to do that. And they've got some interesting talent there, both male and female. So I think down the road, Khan may do that. I think that might be in the back of his head.
I think it would be a mistake. Maybe not initially, because you got to generate some buzz for the show.
Right.
You got to have your A players on it. But long term, for them to use identical rosters on both shows, I think is going to lead to the same problems that both WCW and WWE had when they tried to do the same thing.
Well, they bounced Cena between both those shows, and it worked out well.
It
for
didn't
both
work
shows.
out well, though.
So you know what?
How did it work out well for both shows, Johnny?
Well, look at the ratings, how they changed.
Yeah, they've plummeted.
Well, no.
Since the bell rang at WrestleMania 17 when they turned Austin heel, the popularity of WWE, outside of maybe one little bump when they gave Cena and Batista the magic rub for a little bit, but then it continued to nosedive.
Maybe because of the product, but it wasn't. When you take a look,
I don't blame one particular talent.
you can't.
No, of course not.
Not when you carry the show for 16 years.
Right.
You can't blame any talent for that one. But when you look at what happened and the mass of people, I was in Worcester when he was fighting Brock Lesnar. You couldn't get a seat in there. So don't tell me that they didn't change with some of these individuals. Lesnar, Cena, those people bringing them in. Batista, another name. I just think that if it's done correctly, done the right way, another furniture store on the street won't hurt, even though it's the same product. And if you do, I kind of like to see some of those stars jump once in a while. Maybe they don't fit on this roster. Maybe they belong on that secondary roster. Good show. 2 different types of wrestling, 2 different types of things. Only time will tell. But I'll tell you this, Khan, not as smart as Vince McMahon when it comes to professional wrestling. Although he's got a board right there now, Khan, Jericho, he's got Rhodes. Take a look at, he's got, all these people that he's bringing in, they got the mind for the business. You can tell by their storylines. They have storylines. Unlike 2 weeks, the title's going to change. 30 days, the title's going to change. I am so glad, and I hate to say this, that I was right about WrestleMania, that Lashley retained, and my friend Roman Reigns retained. If that didn't happen, it would have been a travesty. A travesty.
You're right about that. Well, hopefully in AEW, they're hoping to be back on the road in the second half of 2021. Plans to be here in Boston in September. The door was open to have anyone from the organization join us here in studio. I think that would make for an interesting interview. I'd love to have
What are you waiting for?
Tony Khan right here in the studio for a thought-provoking interview. Our good friend Jim Ross, who's been here before. I would love to do anything we can. We advertise a lot for WWE. We're here to help promote wrestling in general, I think. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. The better the industry does as a whole, the better it is for the industry, and the better it is for us.
Amen.
The more wrestling fans that are engaged in wrestling, the better it is for us. So I'm not opposed to trying to help get the word out that AEW is going to be back on the road. Tickets will be available. I'm not quite sure of the date, but it would be at the Agganis Arena again.
In Lowell?
No, that's Saugus Arena. Agganis Arena is BU.
Oh, okay.
Right off the tee. They had a sold-out show there, or if it was not sold out, it was very, very close. I believe the second week of Dynamite. So maybe that's going to be their little home. TNA drew an almost sellout pay-per-view there back when they had the Hulkster in 2013, I think, for Slammiversary. So Agganis Arena, it might not be the Garden, but one thing I've noticed about AEW when they were touring, they were going for more of the college buildings. They wanted to get that younger, more energetic feel as opposed to WWE, which, as we know, is, more often than not, you're going to see a lot of families that go to the events. You know what I mean?
Well, if you notice, even when the WWE goes into the Garden now, it doesn't sell out.
No.
The days when you and I went, you couldn't get a seat. They were scalping tickets out front for big, big money. Now you go in, there's a whole cordoned off section in there. Maybe they're doing a wise thing. I'm a believer that, yes, WWE is my family. There's no question about that. I'm loyal to that family. But it doesn't mean that I can't recognize another family and say, kudos, congratulations.
Or that you can't have friends.
Yeah, there you
How
go.
about that? This is a good way to put it.
We can agree to disagree and still be friends.
All right, wrestling fans, I'm getting the cue from old Howie Miller in the back. We'll be back with the second half of the show after this brief timeout.
I got to see you ding me here. Hold on.
Cheer. Why, hello. I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It's all over BostonWrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now available on eBay. Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. Get this limited edition Bailey autographed Rob Schamberger outprint, one of only 50 made. A great addition to the collection of any Bailey fan, direct from WWE. Also comes with a mystery autograph photo and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021. All right, Johnny, welcome back. You know, Temptation Island has become one of the more popular shows on USA Network. Have you ever seen the show?
No.
Where these couples are tested, where they're put in homes with multiple women or multiple men, the opposite gender, and they try and see if they can survive a month away from their significant other. Where you and Majo have been involved with WWE reality shows, could you be tested on Temptation?
You want my number? Call. They have my number?
I think so.
Give my number. You're my agent. Give my number.
Either
Let's do
that,
it.
or one of the ideas that I thought was great for it was they have this, I think his name is, because of obviously who the superstar is, Mark L. Wahlberg is the host of Temptation Island.
Oh, really?
I think they should have you host the show, and all the women forget about their boyfriends, and instead of the house, all the women go after you as the host.
You've been drinking too much Fabo Pop or what? Wow. This is a drug-free workplace, folks. You know, the things I do for this show.
John Cena Sr.'s
I'll be on
Temptation Island.
Let me do it. I'm ready. Call me, folks. I get my number. Let's do it.
Well, they do a lot of scenes on the beach and at the pool, though. We may find out, you know, we've heard about some of the French women when it comes to the underarm hair. You know what I mean? I don't know.
We don't care what the problem is. We can live with it. My number, call me, Temptation Island. I'm ready to come.
Do you think Majo may need a little Bic action?
Forget Majo. There'll be plenty of other things there for me to keep my attention.
Johnny, we've been talking a lot about all this different wrestling, and a question that one of the fans sent in is there getting to be almost too much wrestling? You've got Raw, Monday night. And if you're a big AEW fan, you have AEW Dark Elevation on YouTube. On Tuesday night, you have NXT. And now you have AEW Dark on Tuesday night on YouTube. Wednesday night is now AEW Dynamite's night of the week. On Thursday, Impact Wrestling is jumping ship. Plus, Dark Side of the Ring is coming back to Vice TV. I don't know what night of the week it's going to run, but Major League Wrestling is also going to be on Vice TV, the same channel as Dark Side of the Ring. Friday night, you have SmackDown. It's like no one, when I was a kid, a lot of the shows used to be on the weekends, and now there's no weekend wrestling anymore. But during the week, it's everywhere. Now, and not only that, as we mentioned during the timeout, on Sunday night for a very limited run, AEW is doing, I believe, 8 different biographies on featured superstars, followed by a show where Stephanie and Triple H look for old wrestling artifacts. So, I mean, there is virtually, along with pay-per-views, there's a lot of wrestling to be found, Johnny. Is there too much?
Wow. Well, you know me, I'm like you, there can never be too much professional wrestling. But sometimes, you know, it's like going to the buffet, you overdo it. And if you have too much, it will spoil the product. People just will not be interested. It's just like everybody's out there trying to grab a piece of this magic pie.
Now, you know a lot about magic pie.
Yeah, there's a... Wow. Anyway, my take on that is perhaps there might be an oversaturation is the word. An oversaturation.
I think Saturday night is the only night that doesn't have an original show of some kind.
When I was a kid, in my younger days, 9 o'clock in the morning, wrestling was. Yep. Kowalski had a show. I used to go there live in Worcester. And then it was Saturday Night Wrestling, Saturday Night Main Event, which was fun. After that, there was really nothing on, except for the major pay-per-views, and when Vince started with WrestleMania 1. I don't know. I think that you can have too much.
Really?
The question becomes, and I use myself, and I mean when I say you can never have too much, but if the product isn't equivalent to at least an NXT tier, let's use that as the benchmark, then it's all going to go down the drain. It's all for naught. So it does something to, what's the word I want to use? Bring down the product. Because people have a tendency, oh, I can't get WWE. I can't, if this is what it's all about, I'm not interested. Well, let's see what happens.
I know I don't have enough time to give to all of it, as much as I'd maybe like to sample this magic pie. I mean, AEW, towards the end of the year, once they add that other show, that's 4 first-run shows they're going to have every week. WWE, along with NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, they have 205 Live, which I forgot to mention. Yep. They have NXT UK, which I forgot to mention. I mean, this just... Where are they getting the wrestlers from?
All I know is this, that you can have too much of a good thing, you know, and I think that people need to look at that and decide. Once you decide what it is you're going to watch, that'll make all the difference in the world. I'm the first one to say it. WWE has too many pay-per-views. Don't give me a pay-per-view that's another Raw or another SmackDown or another NXT. When I bought pay-per-views, and I've got some of those on DVDs that I purchased, those were pay-per-views. Those, you waited in anticipation for that pay-per-view to show up. Now, you go, oh, yeah, Money in the Bank. Okay.
What's the magic number, do you think? WWE, they have 1 a month. NXT,
sometimes 2 a month.
Depending
They're so close together.
Yeah. NXT, usually 6 a year. AEW, 4 a year. What is the magic number?
I say if you do it and do it right, 6 to 7 a year is plenty.
Every other month?
Major blowout. Yeah, because it gives you time to do exactly what you and I have said several times. Build the storyline. Build the anticipation. Don't blow it in 2 weeks. It doesn't make sense. You know,
pacing and patience are the 2 things that are long gone in professional wrestling in 2021.
When you open a comic book or you go to a movie, you don't want to see 30 seconds of the opening and then you get slammed with the outcome and you haven't even reached the end yet. Why not do it the right way? And if you do it the right way and you draw it out and you make sense of what you're doing and follow that storyline the way it should be followed, every 2 months with a pay-per-view, you get a sellout business.
Do you think there are fans that want 5 or 6 nights a week of professional wrestling? Are there that many diehards? Never mind what is easily accessible now, independent wrestling with the internet. and great talk shows like this?
I think the pandemic has done a disservice to the professional wrestling business. It'll be a long time before the wrestling business is back where it used to be, only because through what has happened, people have been diversified. They have had to go other ways, do other things. I do believe that there are fans out there who would watch wrestling 6 nights a week. I don't happen to be one of those people. I kind of like to be the guy that goes into the restaurant, picks what I want off the menu, not 7 or 8 items, 2 or 3, I'm happy with that, and stick with it. I think overkill is not good for the business, and that's what's happening right now.
I just, like I said, at one point, where do all of these major league ready wrestling talents come from?
Well, they're going to be, I'll tell you what's going to happen. All these people that want to be part of the big kahuna thing, they're going to draw from the indies. They're going to draw from any way they can. And the sad part about that is, I just happen to throw Impact out there. When you look at what's there, they can't even do a promo right. It's sad to hear these men and women do promos. And, you know, ODB is a personal friend of mine, but, you know, I'm tired of that. It just doesn't work anymore.
You don't like her, Brass?
ODB is a wonderful person. She had a great gimmick when she started. What they've turned her into now is an embarrassment.
What have they turned her into? Because I haven't seen Impact in years.
She's a little whack. She's, you know, all right, you got these girls on the outside. And every 5 minutes, it just...
A little shifting.
It's not good. It just isn't good. So, you know, I don't know.
Ring of Honor, you know, that one you can't even give a night of the week to because it's pretty much on a different time, a different channel in every market that it's on.
I don't know how they survived.
Do you get Ring of Honor on TV?
I don't have it. Not interested in it. Well, you know what?
I agree with you.
I call it like I see it. You know what? Like me or not, like I say, we can agree to disagree and still be friends. Brian Malonis is at Ring of Honor. I have nothing but good words for Brian Malonis. You know, look at our friend Todd Hansen, where he was. That's where he got where he was. So there's been a lot of good things to come out of Ring of Honor. It just doesn't seem to serve my needs. Will it be around much longer?
I mean, for a company that has more money than WWE, it's really sad that they've never invested in their product.
What does it say?
They should be AEW right now.
Thank you.
Look at where everybody that AEW uses right now primarily came from, outside of the WWE names they
they
signed.
should have been the new NXT. They really, when you look at I don't understand. The people behind the picture are only caring about the people behind the picture. So
if Ring of Honor had a slot where you could watch it every week on a certain channel, I might be apt to give it a shot for a few weeks. I have no idea how to find it.
Me neither. Well, I have no
And when you
interest.
make it too difficult for someone to find, that doesn't help the cause either.
No, and now Dish TV, you know, Direct TV, the cable TVs are becoming more and more people are saying, wait a minute, I'm spending $175, $200 on my cable bill. I'm going to be very selective in what I purchase now. And so, you know, you sit back and you go, whoa, Comcast is giving me the Peacock, giving it to me. Nothing is free. You're paying for it indirectly.
Right.
So, you know, like I say, more and more is being taken away. Let's see what happens. But like I said, Ring of Honor, you know, I'm involved with several indie promotions. I really have a lot of fun with those. There's some excellent talent that I think belongs up to WWE or AEW or Impact. But for some reason, these young men and women don't make it that far.
I think at some point, once the coronavirus mania is tamed, I think WWE, it would behoove them to let some of their NXT talents work some of the better independents out there, just to give them experience in front of live crowds. I mean, they have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of talents that aren't working in front of people anymore.
I think
I think the same could be said for a lot of companies.
I think you have a problem with that. And my only defense of what they're doing is when I invest that money in you for my product, I cannot risk you going into that ring and getting injured. I mean, when The Rock came and faced John in Jersey for the title, he actually ripped a portion of his body. That shut the movie down. So you can't risk that if your investment, you know, why is Cena doing this?
Well, I'm not talking about saying send the Fiend out to work independence. I'm talking about guys.
NXT. You've got an investment. These guys are your students. I believe it or not, they get paid. They're being paid. They're under contract to NXT. I want you in the best possible physical condition you can be in, and I'm going to use Cena as an example. All of a sudden, he gets the call, be in Chicago. You've got to be ready when the gun is fired to move. NXT sends me out, sends me out to do a match, and all of a sudden, I get injured. I pull a hamstring. I dislocate my knee. And they were ready to give me that push. No, it doesn't make sense.
I just think the only way the talent is going to get better is working in front of live audiences, not television sets that have sound effects to them. I mean, I'm not trying to call them out specifically, but you know whose prime example is the Street Profits. They know how to do one match. They know how to do the same 4 or 5 moves in every match. They know how to cut the same promo, and that's it. It's a one-trick pony. You don't want to have a company filled with one-trick ponies. You want to have a company filled with guys that know how to work a variety of styles. And again, to me, the only way that you're really going to get their true experience is having live people react to what you're doing. You've done live theater in the past. You know what it's like to have people laugh or hiss or cry.
Pro wrestling is live theater.
Yeah, well, when they're not working in front of live people.
All right, but stop, because you've got Raw, SmackDown, they're not working in front of live people. I mean,
And it's hurt them.
You made an excellent comment. I was at Wrestlemania next to all these bobbleheads. I mean, how does it feel to be next to somebody that's, hello, Mr. Marty, ha ha ha. They pump the cheers in.
Well, they were of the
They pump
cardboard
the booze
variety.
in. Yeah, well, that's okay. So,
Well, that was actually a good thing. There still were about, 20,000 plus real people there each night,
Okay,
as
but-
opposed to nobody.
the fact of the matter is, regardless, you know what? I've done shows for 5 people. I've done shows for 2,500 people. I've done shows when I did Raw for, what, 400?
Sell-out business, baby. 15, 16,000 strong.
So, and what can I say? So you might be going to the wrong direction there.
Well, if you ran a wrestling company and you wanted your talent to improve, if you weren't going the route of running enough live events to keep these people busy, what would be the best way to get them to, if not even stay on par with where they are when you brought them in, improve?
Well, they started doing it. NXT started doing it by putting NXT on the road.
Right.
That's what OVW used to do.
Right.
We've got a show in Kentucky here. We've got a show over there. And that gave your people a chance to perform in front of a live crowd. Unfortunately, you don't want to take a Batista, you don't want to take a Victoria or Randy Orton or John Cena from OVW, which has the potential, and all of a sudden you turn around, they go out and they're injured. Now that push is lost. Where's the value in my investment? These young men and women are investments. And now they have an overabundance of an investment. So maybe what they need to do is make a decision. You're the top tier, no top or bottom, but you're in this level, you're in this level. Maybe this level we start sending out, we'll do our own indie shows. That makes a lot of sense. But to risk the factor that I have an investment and I'm going to put you out there with because I'll tell you, I've worked shows with young men and women who you believe when you talk in the locker room are safe to work with. And then you get in the ring, or you go into the ring and you go, hey, you work at Marty tonight. Yeah, seems like a good guy. We went over the show, the match, it's going to be pretty good. He's only been at it 3 months. Holy mackerel. Holy mackerel. And I've learned that the hard way. I had 3 ribs cracked by somebody who was supposed to be safe. So, you know what? It's not worth it.
I'm not saying turn it into the Wild West, but I am saying I think the guys are not going to improve as quickly as they could if they're not working in front of fresh crowds on a regular basis. Even AEW, right now where they have a small, limited capacity at their events, it's a lot of the same people that live in the Jacksonville, Florida area. TNA, that was the huge problem that those guys had. They weren't trying to appeal to the television audience even. They were trying to appeal to those same 400, 500, 600 people that would go to Universal Studios and give them a big pop.
Again, my thought and your thought,
A little different.
two different thoughts. I don't think either one of us is wrong. I'm looking at it from an investment business standpoint.
And I agree with you as far as that goes. You don't want to invest, for what a guy gets paid. The company that is paying you is investing much more so than that to have you under contract to them. You don't want to see them get injured for any period of time, but at the same time, I don't think you want to see any talent regress.
I don't disagree with that. So it's up to the school, quote unquote, which NXT, in my opinion, Paul Levesque, a great idea. He's created the college for professional wrestling. If that's the case, then you've got to develop the curriculum so they don't go stale. That's the name of the game.
Do you want to know, and I've been saying this for years, Johnny, where every wrestling company on the planet has missed the boat. You want to know what I would do to try and maybe take care of everything we've talked about, roll it up into a ball in one?
Sure, let's hear it.
Almost kind of take what TNA did, where they had their tapings at Universal Studio, but forget about doing TV tapings. 3-4 times a day, like you see animal shows, like you see different musical productions that go on at the theme park, you have an hour block of wrestling where fans can get in out of the heat, sit down someplace nice and cool, especially in the summertime, and you do 2 or 3 matches. And you just do it a few times. You know, you take breaks, you let new crowds in every time, people that may not even be diehard wrestling fans or really big wrestling fans at all, but at least they're working in front of different people. You're guaranteed to have people coming in and out of those theme parks every day. And I think it would be a great way for the talent to be utilized working with their peers that are under contract to the same company. I think it would be a good learning experience. It's not too far off the way I think they do things in Germany sometimes with one of their tournaments where they run, I'm going to say it wrong and someone's going to crucify me, but I don't have Google in front of me, but they run down under a tent for like a month in a row. I don't know. I think something like that would be, I think it'd be a good attraction for Universal. I know there are times when there's a long wait for a ride. I wouldn't mind sitting down somewhere cool for an hour and seeing something different that I may like, may not like. And I think it would be good for the talent. It would give them regular, steady work. You know, I'm not saying book them 3 times a day. I'm saying book say you have 100 people under contract, book each one of them once or twice a week. One man's opinion. I don't know why TNA never tried to do that, where they were already there, had their ring set up, had their entrance set up. It could have been a great way for them to set up a developmental system. But look at where TNA is now, Impact Wrestling, I should say. Do the Italian when you talked about Jeff Jarrett and the ball.
Can't even cut a promo.
Do the Italian when you talked about Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett.
Remember when he had that global wrestling promotion that he had for a couple of months, and you were talking about him rowing his boat back from, I don't know where it was, but you said it in Italian, and I was on the floor.
I forget what I said.
Well, all right, we'll have to look up in the archives for that.
And then we'll bring it back. How's
humiliated. Boy, Jeff's attempt. You know what, Jeff Jarrett, for that all can be said about the guy, he has really always gone out and pushed and pushed and pushed to try and come up with something new and creative for people. And I give Jeff a lot of credit for that. A lot of them haven't been great successes, but...
Well, but you know what? I have no bad words about Jeff Jarrett. We all have demons. We all have problems. But Jarrett is smart. He understands the business. And he's done what other people have not done. He's got off his ass and done something about it. Kudos to Jeff Jarrett.
Hey, look at what, you know what, for better or worse, 19 years later, TNA is still in existence. Impact Wrestling is still in existence. He tried with Global Force. That didn't exactly go so well. But at one point, it looked like they were going to try and create a dual brand battle with Impact Wrestling. They created that promotion in India that it was a great success, apparently, for a short period of time before, I don't know why the bottom fell out. I don't know if it was because of issues that TNA Impact was facing at the time. But, you know, and now that he's a healthier person, a sober person, you know, he's got himself in a very good position to share his knowledge with WWE. So, and he follows us on Twitter, so you really can't ask for much more than that.
Jeff's a great guy.
A good guy.
Good guy.
The veteran from Hendersonville, Tennessee.
He's a great
Again,
guy.
fans, I hate to say it, we're running out of time. Howard Miller is the man. As much as we love him, he always comes up with the bad news saying we got to go.
Howard's got to go.
Well, he wants to hear more about this magic pie that you were talking about.
All right, Howard, when we leave, you're on.
Cecil needs the recipe, but that's a different story for a different time.
God almighty.
Wrestling fans, again, if you are watching with us on Friday night, share your thoughts in the premiere chat. I thank all of our regular fans that join us, like our friends Vaughn, Don the Barber, Kevin Petrantozzi from down at the Gold Exchange in Greensboro, North Carolina. Ken always chimes in and he gets mad if I ignore his questions. We got a bunch of Kevins that join us. We got Lisa, plus the moderating staff that is helping me keep my sanity, Slick Rick B, Maria Davis, Stoney, Smokey, Tina, Tania, whatever your true identity is, they're a big help, Johnny. And
Why don't you invite them up here? Let's do a show with them.
Well, my big thought is to try and get them, if they're in the mood, to make their way up here for the anniversary show.
Let's do it
Have some
before
fun.
that.
We could have like maybe a little private gathering for our inner circle of friends here at the studio.
Let's do it. Come
We'll
on
see.
up, guys.
We'll
I'm
see.
interested.
And also, fans, if you're not watching during the premiere, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. We love your feedback. You can also help the show. Give us a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is absolutely free. If you click the little bell, it gives you little notifications when a new show premieres. And we have new shows that premiere 7 days a week, mind you, other than Vince. I can't think of too many people that have the sanity to do that, or maybe it's insanity. I don't know. I also share the link to these great talk shows across social media, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook wrestling groups, wrestling websites. Let them know about all the superstars and legends we have here. Again, if you enjoyed the show, the Super Chat button is open. Don't forget to tip the bartender. If you are bored tonight, if the nightlife is quiet on a Friday, the eBay store is open for business 24/7, baby. You can find the link in the description box below. Some of this great merchandise you see right here on the set can be on your wall or in your home, adding to your wrestling man cave or even woman cave to be a PC in 2021. And more than anything, if you watch our show, you know you're a friend. You're a good friend of ours. But we want you to join the Boston Wrestling MWF family over on Patreon, where we give you early, ad-free access to all of our great Wrestling Insider in-studio shoot interview talk shows. We give you access to our acclaimed Studio Shoot Interview DVD library that's been seen by millions online and millions more on the Howard Stern Show when he was playing that Not the Sheik every day. You get Patreon exclusive videos, Patreon exclusive news, and the big one to me, Johnny, you know, the one that pulls on the strings of my heart, you help keep the wrestling legends working, all for just a couple of bucks per month. Patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. For my Friday night partner in crime, the new co-host or maybe participant of Temptation Island on the USA Network, the man that knows the secret ingredients to the magic pie, John Cena Sr. I'm Dan Marati. We're both doing better than Tucker. Until we speak again, you and yours be well, stay healthy. Good night.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at Warren High School in Warren, Rhode Island, Saturday, May the 7th, 1983. In the opening contest, Johnny Rodz beat Fred Marzino. Pete Sanchez with the win over Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty. S.D. Jones defeated Swede Hansen. Salvatore Bellomo victorious over Tony Colon. Mr. Fuji beat Jules Strongbow. And in the main event, Ivan Koloff with the win over Pat Patterson via countout. If you were in Warren live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the link in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed Studio Shoot Interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.